Welcome to the Seven Figure Leaders podcast. This podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of seven-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a seven-figure business owner or someone who works with seven-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. And there you'll find the link to apply. Welcome. And today we've got John Lamerton, author of Fast Exit. Welcome, John.
Good to see you, Tom. How are we doing?
All good, thanks. Pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thanks for putting the time in.
No worries at all. It's great to be here. Looking forward to having a good chat today.
Good. So, best place to start, you wrote the book Fast Exit.
The false exit, yes. So not a fast exit. I did try a fast exit. It didn't work. That's why I ended up taking a false exit.
Okay. So why don't you give us a little bit of a background as to what the book's about and who it's for?
Certainly. So this book started, it was almost by accident that I discovered this. So I used to run a number of businesses, and one of those businesses, we had someone approach us. This would be almost 10 years ago now, for an exit. They said, "Oh, we're interested in acquiring the business." And myself and my business partner said, "Well, we're not really interested in selling, but we'll go and have a chat with you." And we're based in the Southwest. We drove up to Newbury. We had a day chatting with these guys, and they basically waved a check for £2 million in our noses. And then on the drive home from Newbury, Jason and I decided what car we were going to buy, where the yacht was going to be moored, and how much our golf handicap was going to improve once we'd exited this business.
What handicap should come first?
Exactly. You haven't seen me play golf. That's the problem. But ultimately, that sale fell through. So the guys who were looking to buy said, "Look, we're not convinced we can get a pool of buyers for your business. It relies a bit too heavily on the two of you. Yeah. You've done some work to extract yourself from the day-to-day operations, but we're concerned, or the buyers would be concerned, that if you walk away, they're going to be left holding the baby, and suddenly it's not going to be as profitable as you thought." So we set about a process of systemisation. Was the main thing we looked at. Okay, we'll remove ourselves so that the business doesn't rely on us. Fast forward, I think 12 months later, and I went on holiday, and I was out of the country for 3 weeks. I did no work in those 3 weeks. I then came back. My business partner, Jason, was going on holiday for 2 weeks. He was out of the country incommunicado. And we had one day we were both in the country. So we did this little handover, as we always did, basically asking what fires need putting out, what's burning down, what's gone wrong, what do I need to look out for? And it was actually a really quick conversation because, what fires need putting out? None. Haven't been going around lighting any. Oh, okay. What's going on? Well, the systems are taking care of most of the stuff. Okay. Anything you need me to do? Well, you can have a chat with the team if you like, but they're running themselves. And then we suddenly realized we'd achieved it. We'd removed ourselves from that day-to-day operation. And we went back and looked at, well, do we exit? And we kind of ran through the numbers and said, okay, so we were looking at, so it's about 400, we're doing 400K a year profit, 5x multiple. We're looking at £2 million exit.
What type of business is this?
Sorry?
What type of business is this?
So this is sports betting. So it's a subscription membership model, a little bit of affiliate revenue, very much kind of digital marketing. Lots of online leads, monetized through partnerships and through memberships. So we got a 5x multiple. We're looking at £2 million. Brilliant. And then we thought, well, by the time we'd paid some tax and we'd paid the lawyers and we'd paid the brokers, we'd probably be left with about 1.5, 1.6 million. Then we've got to divide it up between us. And then we've got to put that money to work, replacing the income we've just lost. So we've looked at it, actually, to get the same income we've just had, we need to put that money to work at a 25% yield.
Mm-hmm.
where do I know that is an investment that offers a safe, secure 25% yield? Well, the only thing I know is the business I've just sold, but I've now got a non-compete in place. I've got no energy whatsoever because I've just gone through the process of selling my baby, and I'm starting from zero.
Yeah. So this is all post sale. So you didn't realize this before the sale went through. You just thought, wow, 2 mil,
The
nice.
sale never went through.
Oh,
We had gone through a couple of sales before at much smaller valuations, but yeah, this sale actually fell through. And in hindsight, that was the best thing that ever happened, because by falling through, it forced us to put what we now call the false exit framework in place that allowed us as the business owners to remove ourselves from that day-to-day operation, so the business no longer relies on us. Originally, I started calling this a nipping out strategy. It's like an exit strategy, but it's more nipping out. It enables me to do that 3 weeks on a extended holiday. It enabled me to spend best part of 6 months completely out of the business writing my first book. And it just enables me to step away from that business. The business carries on running itself. It's an asset that generates that yield, and I can come back in and give the best of me to my business.
well, okay. So your book is essentially saying, don't necessarily try and sell your business. Try and turn your business into an asset that can carry on operating without your dependence.
Yeah, exactly. It is that removing yourself as the godlike genius through which everything flows and without whom nothing works, which is how most businesses operate. Certainly small businesses are
Yeah.
operating, and encouraging you to just explore it as an option. So for some people, an exit, full exit, may be the right thing. And I do walk through in the first few chapters potential exits, full exit, partial exit, management buy, all the different options you could take, but then presenting that kind of wild card option of, or you could not exit your business, but you could do the work that actually enables you to almost be the buyer of your business and say, well, actually, if you looked at your org chart and the only place you were on that org chart was owner and majority shareholder, would you be happy with that situation?
Yeah. Yeah. Really interesting, because the stats that you see around business sales are obviously frightening. And I'm sure that you've seen them as well. You know, the official one that gets quoted is 80 odd percent of businesses up for sale never sell. And so obviously if those are just the ones that are put up for sale, then what about the ones that are never put up for sale? So, I mean, you can estimate that 90% plus of businesses never sell. And I think, I mean, why that is the case is a completely different topic. Well, it's not completely different, but it's different. But I think owner dependency on small businesses, the finances being a mess, lack of systems, they're probably the main things and the main things that business owners need help with. But I really like your approach, which is that a lot of business owners, they think that the day they sell a business is the day that they've been waiting for kind of their whole life. It's the day they dream of.
Yeah.
But there's another stat, which is something like 75% of business owners a year after selling regret either the terms of the sale or that they had sold their business because they've lost all the sense of purpose in their life. So really interesting approach.
Yeah. I think probably the reason that most businesses don't sell is the same reason that the business owners who do sell have regret. And it's because it's their baby and they treat it as their baby and not their investment, not part of their wealth building strategy. It's that personal, emotional connection to it. I think I used to study thinking about sort of purpose after you've exited. There was a study of the oil company Shell, and they looked at the early retirers, those who retired at 55 rather than 65. And they found that those who retired 10 years earlier actually died earlier.
Really?
And those who kept on working for another 10 years. And so much of it was down to purpose. Not having a reason to get out of bed in the morning suddenly leads to health deterioration. It leads to poor decisions. It leads to a lot of time spent on the golf course. And there's a reason that how many heart attacks happen on the golf course.
You think that's the reason?
It's a stressful game. It really is.
Stressful game, can be. Okay, so you said something really interesting that I wanted to dive into there. Earlier on, you talked about implementing systems, which then within 12 months meant that you and your business partner could spend, I think you said 6 weeks out at a time. when you say systems, what are we talking about? Is that manual SOPs, or is that tech systems, or perhaps you could run us through that a bit?
Yeah, that is everything. So I got told off by my editor because if you've ever read like a James Patterson novel, or what's the guy who did, I can't think of the one now, but it's 2-page chapters, 3-page chapters, and I got told off for having a mega chapter in this book. So most of my chapters in the false exit are about 20, 25 pages. The systems chapter is, I think, 56 pages long, and I feel barely scratches the surface of systems. I would recommend, if you're going to put if you're going to put systems, I recommend when you cannot exit your business without putting systems in place. When you put those systems in place, I recommend you go and read 3-4 deep books. I mean, one of the books cover out on the shelf behind me is Sam Carpenter's Work the System. Systemology, the E-Myth Revisited. Every single one of those is essential. And it's SOPs, it's decision-making frameworks, it's tech, it's if this, then that. It's so much. And I think of the business owners that I speak to, that I coach, and my own experience of doing this is we all think this will take about a quarter. And it always takes at least a year. So we pretty much spent about 18 months systemizing our business. And even to this day, we find bits to systemize again. We find ways to improve. We find things that are broken in the system. And more than anything, I think systemization requires a systems mindset. And that's why I like Work the System as my go-to, because that is just day one. Sam Carpenter says, right, you need a systems mindset.
Yeah.
And I just go, right, if there's a problem in the business, there's only really one acceptable a problem to that. And the problem is there's a problem with the system. Because the only other reason that things will be going wrong is someone's not following the system.
Yeah.
So if someone's not following the system, that's unacceptable. If there's a problem with the system, brilliant. We'll go where the problem is. We'll fix the problem.
Yeah. So it's all about building a system that is basically impossible to not follow. It reminds me of this book, actually. It's called The Checklist Manifesto. I'm not sure if
Oh, yes. That's another one on my shelf. Atul Gawande, isn't it?
Yes, that's it. And essentially it's saying the same thing. I think initially this book was created for someone who was about to fly a plane, and essentially you had to make it so that you literally would check every box kind of on the checklist. And if one other box wasn't ticked, then it means that something could go catastrophically wrong. But it's kind of along the same lines as what we're talking about here. You essentially, the reason I read that book was because in my old job at JP Morgan, we were actually building a process for a team to follow, so that it was basically impossible for them to not follow it properly.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very good. And then on to, so does your book actually talk about exiting, or is it just on the false exit?
No, the book is all about that false exit. Is all about how do you craft. And there is a little plot twist at the end of the book. So if you don't want to hear the plot twist, just mute this podcast the next 15 seconds. But the plot twist is that when you do the work to implement a false exit that removes you from the day-to-day operations so that you can keep the golden goose, your business is far more sellable. And you could take a traditional full exit probably for a higher multiple than if you don't do the work. Because all the work we're doing, we're putting visions and values in place. We're putting the right people in the right seats. We're giving those people a decision-making framework. We're building systems around them, and we're removing all reliance on the owner-operator for that business. Now, as an investor myself, that's an insanely investable business. That ticks all the boxes. If I've got an investor's checklist, that ticks all the boxes of everything that I want, that I'm going to pay a higher multiple for that because I've got more security and consistency in that revenue over the next 3 years that I'm anticipating buying that business.
Exactly. And actually, that's something that I talk about with my clients when I first start working with them. It's step number one is, okay, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want this thing to go?
Yeah.
And usually it's some version of freedom, time freedom, financial freedom. It might mean selling the business. It might not mean selling the business, but whether it does or it doesn't, the way we're going to get to that freedom is by turning this business into something that is essentially attractive to buyers, because a business that's attractive to buyers is also one that's easy and fun to run. And you might, if we build it in that way, you might get 3 to 5 years down the line and decide that actually, no, it's actually quite fun to keep hold of it. But putting yourself in the buyer's shoes and thinking, would I invest in this business if I as the business owner, am about to walk out the door? If the answer is no, then you can't expect someone else to.
Exactly. I think early on in the book, I make the case that, the majority of business owners do exit their business, but they exit it feet first in a box because they create a job and then eventually they can't sell their business/job. And so they die. And that is where their business dies along with them. There was some stat, I haven't got the figures now, but it was about the number of businesses who outlast their founder. So if the founder dies, there is a strong correlation that the business also dies, even large businesses.
Really?
Because there's that lack of stewardship going forward. There's zero succession plan. Most business owners they're looking at getting money in the till today. They might be thinking 1 quarter ahead. And a lot of the business owners I speak to, they're kind of small business owners, micro business owners, kind of, maybe they've got themselves a small team around them. They might be doing, a couple of 100,000. They might be doing 1 million or 2. Those are kind of the people I speak to. And a lot of those, they've just created this monster that suddenly something happens. And there's always a trigger. Suddenly they have a big birthday. No one told them they were going to suddenly be 60. And all of a sudden, oh, hang on a minute. Or they get a letter about their pension that's coming up, or there's a health scare, or something happens and they need to suddenly take some time out of their business and they can't. And that's when they realize, oh, crikey, I've created a job. I've created a job that absolutely relies on me. I am the godlike genius through which everything flows, which is because as small business owners, we want to control everything. We've created a little world where everything runs the way we want it to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very difficult for someone else to run that business. We need to adapt that business. So it is a little bit of hard work, but I think if we can get to business owners, that's why I want to plant that seed with business owners. Maybe, if you listen to this and you're in your kind of 40s or early 50s, do this work now while you've got some energy. And you can do this, let's say 5 years in advance. You're going to enjoy running your business. Well, your business is going to be more enjoyable. And you may decide, I don't want to exit. You may decide, I want to take the check. You're either going to get a bigger check or you're going to be able to run your business for far longer because you're going to have the energy to do so and you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got the book. You've also got several other books, which you're welcome to touch on if you want. And then you've got separately to the books, your consulting kind of one-on-one support. Is that right?
So it's a group coaching community. So it's called the 1% Club. It's not to be confused with the ITV game show that Lee Mack hosts. We had our 1% Club first, I will say that. The ethos behind the 1% Club is constant, never-ending improvement. It is leaving your business 1% better every single week. So the idea of the false exit came from conversations we'd have with our 1%ers. We'd talk about, okay, and again, it's that demographic of pretty much mid to late 50s. Oh my God, I'm not getting any younger. I need to do something with this business. I love my business, but I know 10 years from now, I'm not going to have the energy that I've got now. I'm not going to have the temperament. I want to start traveling more. I want to be able to take 3 months off and go on a round the world cruise. And I can't. And it's just knowing, because everyone else is talking, what's retirement coming up? Well, for a lot of business owners, there is no retirement other than walking away from your business or selling that golden goose. And that's just dangling that. Let's do a little bit of work now whilst you've got that energy. So yeah, a lot of what we do in the club is group coaching, one to many, kind of we bring in some experts. We've got some masterclasses. There is an element of one-to-one. It's not with myself, but my team do one-to-one accountability calls every week. And it's just that simple act of if you can just leave your business 1% better, and that can be, we talked about the 18 months of systemization. A lot of the people we're working with now, okay, every week we're putting something in place. Okay, again, Sam Carpenter talked about fire prevention rather than firefighting. Business owners recognize firefighting. Every business owner has done firefighting.
Yeah.
Can you do 1% improvements on your fire prevention? Can we put a sprinkler system in this week? Can we make sure the extinguishers work this week? And it's getting those processes right. That, yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day, but they were laying bricks every day.
Yeah.
The 1% improvement is just laying those bricks every single week.
That's brilliant. And I can see that would add a huge amount of value on addressing the most common things that most business owners face, and especially as they approach that exit, which they may or may not have in their mind, something that's fast approaching. So for anyone who's interested, we'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes. Is there any other way that they can get in touch with you, website, or do you give away anything for free?
Yeah, absolutely. If you Google my name, it's John Lamerton, Lamercon. Or I say Google it. We don't need to say that. You can Google it. You can ChatGPT it. You can Claude it. You can Gemini it. Ask your AI of choice about John Lamerton. You will find my website. Obviously, books are available on Amazon, on Audible, narrated by me. I'm just about to release, soon to release my 5th book. So I've written books on habits, routines, marketing, content marketing, evergreen assets, obviously exiting/not exiting your business. And my new book is going to be on customer retention. So keeping the customers that you've already got. If you go to my website, which is bigidea.co.uk, but again, if you Google me, you'll reach that website. There is a free chapter of any of those books. You've also got my podcast, which is the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. But yeah, always happy to have a chat. If you find me on LinkedIn, reach out, send me a message. Don't connect and pitch. I get enough of that. I've written a whole book about not connecting and pitching on LinkedIn. Send me a message and let's have a chat.
Brilliant. Okay, John, well, it's been a pleasure to have you on as a guest, and good luck in continuing to help business owners solve some of the biggest problems that they face in their business. I can see from my perspective with the clients that I have and the business owners that I speak to that, you're adding a huge amount of value. So thank you. And thanks for coming on as a guest.
Thank you for having me, Tom. And thank you for listening, dear listener.
Thanks for listening. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this podcast was created to celebrate the success stories of 7-figure business owners, giving them a platform to share their insights and lessons learned in order to inspire other business owners. As well as that, it's an opportunity to build new connections. So if you're a 7-figure business owner or someone who works with 7-figure business owners and you're looking for introductions to potential stakeholders, strategic partners and clients, I'd love to hear from you or have you on as a guest and see if I can help make those connections for you. Just go to synergycfosolutions.co. That's synergycfosolutions.co and click podcast. On that page, you'll find the link to apply.